Hey Jack, it's Dr. Scott. So I have some feedback for you on your literature review draft, and this document that I have here, I'm going to send this to you, and the notes, they're not going to, some of them may not make much sense. They're just kind of notes to me, things that I need to talk to you about in the screencast. I'm at home right now, so you might hear some stuff in the background. We got a dog that barks at leaves, so that might happen. But I wanted to kind of, just in this short screencast, kind of give you some feedback about where you're at. There's it's kind of a bigger issue, and what it's that you don't have a bunch of research here. I think you have 4 or 5 sources, and it's kind of hard to talk about trends in research when you've only got 4 or 5 sources. But I'll kind of go through here and kind of talk about where I think you're at this point. So at the beginning, you have this kind of like grand historical thing, like since the dawn of time, but not necessarily the dawn of time, but you go back pretty far. It's a pretty far-reaching survey of history here, and I don't know if you need it all. It kind of reads a little bit fillery, and I'm not exactly sure like how it helps you in your project. So what I would say here is you maybe mention briefly that the town gown issue has it reaches back to the Roman Empire, but for the purposes of your study, you're interested in this aspect of the town gown gap, and I think that would suffice. I think a little bit of the history is good, but I think too much of it, especially like a paragraph here, that's too much. Also, the way that your paragraphs are kind of set up, it's a paragraph by source. So there's a source here, Miller and Rivera, and you've got a paragraph about that. And then going down to this other paragraph, you have Mayfield, and this paragraph is about the Mayfield source. And that's not really going to work for a literature review. A literature review needs to identify trends, and then you write about trends using the sources that you found. So you should have several sources in one paragraph that are talking about, all right, town gown and maybe tensions. Like a lot of folks mention tensions when they write about town gown gap. Other folks will talk about here's what we've done, so how have others tried to improve town gown relationships. So kind of identifying the major trends in the research, that's going to be far more useful than you kind of just providing what reads a little bit more like an annotated bibliography. Okay, so that issue is kind of big. And also I would add that in addition to kind of making sure that you're talking about trends in your research, also making sure that you're using what's relevant for your project. So here you've got this Mayfield person talking about the engage model, which I think is a little bit more relevant to your project rather than that kind of history that you provided in that earlier paragraph. But here I'm kind of scratching my head like, okay, what's relevant here as far as Jack's project? So I think kind of just highlighting the things that are going to either help you revise your question, or that helped you kind of decide what specific aspect of the town gown gap you found that you'd like to do research on. So two broad things here. One, talk about trends, you need to do more research in order to do that. 2, make sure that the trends are actually relevant to your research, to your project. And I think that's pretty much that's pretty much it as far as the feedback that I have. I think you kind of knew some of this. I think you probably know that you need to do some more research, but I just hope that it kind of sinks in that the using history of town gown as a trend is probably not going to be as helpful. It won't be as helpful as identifying stuff that's actually relevant to your project. All right. I hope that helps a little bit. If I'm confusing you at all, that happens. Let me know, and we can chat early next week, or maybe we can chat over email this weekend, and I'd be happy to give you a little bit more direction. Okay, that's it for now, and I will see you next week.